Hey everybody, welcome back to TechOdyssey. Today I'm here to talk about everybody's favorite phone that I've talked about entirely too much lately, but I had an idea, so go with me on this one. I've got the Pixel 6 here, and I think that this phone marks an important transition, maybe moving into 2022, because it basically gives you flagship level everything. Okay, yes, it's got 90 hertz refresh rate instead of 120. It's got a 1080p screen instead of Quad HD Plus, and has two cameras instead of three. But the experience that you get, the flagship performance, the exact same chip that you get in the Pixel 6 Pro, and also the screen is negligibly smaller, and some would even say better because, well, it's a flat screen instead of a curved edge display. So, yeah, there are things that they could change about this moving forward, but the important thing here is $599. And of course, the Pixel 6 Pro is $899. I don't want to gloss over that. But when you look around, you look at what Samsung brings to the table. Typically, their flagship phone is like $1299, something like that. The S20 Ultra was $1399. The Note 20 Ultra was $1299, then like $1299 again with the S21 Ultra, and then like $900, $800, whatever for the S21, the S21 Plus, all that jazz. And then you look at the iPhone and their Pro level series phone. It clocks in at $999, and then you look at their regular like iPhone 13, it's $799. $200 cheaper. And it was even on sale over Black Friday and Cyber Monday where you could get it for like $50 to $100 less in some cases. I think that the days of everybody spending $1,000 at a phone are coming to an end. Yes, and I think that's a good thing because you don't need to. I've been talking about this with a lot of people lately, and technology has advanced so far, and I think that's why that they're pushing the envelope with these foldable phones. They got to keep their profit margins up. These companies know that they're losing money. They're losing sales year over year. And you look at the huge decline in sales over the S20, then the S21. They didn't sell a lot of those phones like they thought they were going to. The S20 was a horrible debacle. Of course, it also launched immediately after, all the global mess of everything. But that's neither here nor there. It just didn't sell well. People were taking them back in droves. People just weren't buying them. iPhone, they're always going to sell. But you see what they're doing. Apple doesn't just have one or two phones anymore. They've got a lineup of 4 phones, and then they still have the older phones, which you can get for a discount. Apple figured out a long time ago. Selling phones is a losing proposition moving forward because the only thing that's going to happen is technology gets more and more powerful. It gets more and more better, for lack of terminology here, better. The phones themselves are so good. You can pick up a phone now, even last year's Pixel 4a with the Snapdragon 730G was a very, very good phone. By and large, pretty much any phone you get that's more than a couple $100 now has a decent camera, it has a decent screen, it has good performance, and that's what most people want. Most people don't want to spend $1,000 on a phone. Most people don't want to spend $700 on a phone. There are a lot of people that don't want to spend $599 on a phone, and I don't blame you. There are other priorities in life. Not everybody is a tech nerd like me who has to have the latest and greatest just because it exists and it's the latest and greatest. Most people that get one of these high-level, pro-level phones aren't even scratching the surface of what they can do. They're not using ProMotion. They're not using cinematic mode. They're not using the space zoom or super zoom so they can look at the moon. They might do it once or twice, but by and large, a lot of these selling features, they're unnecessary and they're overpriced. And we all know the profit margins on these phones are ridiculous anyway. Yes, we can get in the conversation about how troubling it is for these manufacturers to have to actually ship and manufacture and supply and warehouse and distribute. I don't care. That's their job. But when they're making a phone for like $350 and selling it for $1,000, it makes you go, maybe it's not really worth that much. So there is, I think, a change coming, and we're going to have to see how Android adapts to this because clearly iPhone has adapted to it very well. You can go get a $300 iPhone SE. There's rumor of an iPhone SE, 2023, 2024, whatever now. That's going to be bigger than the regular one, which I think they need. I would love to have a iPhone SE Plus. I had hoped that was going to come out this last year because I totally love my iPhone 8 Plus. It was a great phone and it still had Touch ID on it. So looking at the landscape, and then you go, yeah, these $1,200, $1,100, $1,000 phones, they're kind of out of touch with reality. And especially people are more budget conscious than ever with inflation, with the economy, with the world the way that it is right now. money and dollar bills come at a premium, and nobody's going out and buying a year-over-year cell phone right now. And I think you're going to see a further decline in smartphone sales. Yes, the market is saturated. We knew this years ago, and unfortunately, most of them's idea of shaking up the smartphone arena was to take away features and charge you more money. We don't have charging bricks anymore. We don't have headphone jacks anymore. We don't have IR blasters anymore. We don't have external storage anymore. Most phones don't even have curved edge displays, which were considered premium features. So they just keep taking away more stuff and charging you more money, and then coming up with a reason for why they need to charge more money. So I think that this right here represents the next generation in what we would normally consider a flagship, because when you look at a Snapdragon 888, like, it used to be days gone by. Used to be you would go get a phone and the next year it was garbage. Like, you remember picking up a Samsung phone like 6 or 7 years ago, and then the next year it's like, yeah, that's not good. Like the original Samsung Galaxy, and then the S2, the S3, the S4. By the time they made it a year, it's like, yeah, I got to go turn this one and get another one. I thought you were barely getting 2 years out of it. Samsung was notoriously bad about putting out software updates. LG was even worse than that. So the landscape has changed. We basically expect monthly or quarterly or bi-monthly security updates. We basically expect high-quality cameras. Have you seen how good the cameras are lately? The Google Pixel with the Pixel 2, 3, and 4 were basically rocking the same camera for years and kept making it better every year, which is just magic. So we're in a place now where the cameras are so good, the processors are so good, the screen technology hasn't changed in forever. You remember the first time we got a Quad HD Plus screen on a phone? The LG G3 was the first mainstream phone in the US. That was a long time ago. That was a really long time ago. We had the G4, the G5, the G6, the G7, G8, all, the Velvet, even beyond that. Now LG's out of business, and they're the ones that pioneered that. So with this right here, the Pixel 6 is such a good phone, and that's why I went out and I bought it. I bought this phone so I could tell people, hey, I think this is a good device. I wasn't sent this one. The Team Pixel program and Google, they sent me the Pixel 6 Pro, and I gravitate more towards this, and I went out and bought it because I wanted to be able to test it out and say, okay, this is as good as I think that it is. And yes, there are some bugs that they're working out. Yes, there's an update coming to fix like 100 or more different things. I know some of you are not having problems with it. That's great. I'm sincerely happy for you. Everybody's experience is different. But by and large, I think it's pretty well noted there are some problems. So this right here, I think is going to be very disruptive. I think that you may see a change in the pricing models with the Samsung phones and with the OnePlus phones and with all the other ones coming out, because it's hard to sit there and say, yeah, you need to spend $1,000 to get this Samsung phone when you can get this phone that's going to run 99% just as well, if not better in some ways, and maybe even somebody's preference for $599. Like, this right here undercut last year's competition by $200, $300, and $400, which is just crazy. People want to say, oh, it's only got a 1080p screen on it. Well, the S21 Plus only had 1080p. It's not like it was an amazing feat of technology there. I mean, they purposely dumb it down to make you buy the Ultra, which was several $100s more. So I think you're going to see less gimmicks. I think you might see more streamlined phones. I think that this upcoming possible S22 Ultra that has the stylus inside of it, no more Note, Samsung knows that they got to cut stuff somewhere. Samsung makes entirely too many phones in entirely too many different regions, entirely too many price points. So I think things are going to change, not just because of the market, not just because of the supply demand, which of course they've got to do anyway, because, well, there's a shortage on basically everything to make smartphones. So this right here represents a big step at trying to do something about this system that's been going out of control for a long time and has been charging us way too much money for stuff that really is only incremental performance increases. I mean, shoot, look at the S21 Ultra. It's still a fantastic phone. I know I have problems with the battery, but it's an amazing phone. That phone's going to be good for years. It's still like way up there. So when you've got like a 5 nanometer processor in your phone, who really cares if it's 4 nanometers in the next one? Nothing I'm going to race out and recommend somebody go buy a year-over-year upgrade. So there's going to be, I think, a shift this upcoming year. I think we'll have to see it with Samsung, because if they don't make some changes, a lot of people are going to go buy their phones, because you can get the iPhone 13 for $799. You can get this for $599. And there's more and more phones coming from overseas. If you look at the Xiaomi phones, you look at the Poco phones, they're easier to get than ever. And they are supported largely by a lot of our network bands. So it's not like before where it's like, oh, you can't go get an Honor phone. You can't go get a Xiaomi phone. It's not going to work over here. They work pretty well now. So when you look at the top and you look at Samsung, you look at LG's gone. Motorola basically hardly makes anything. Sony's not even on carrier shelves anymore. You can't even go to Best Buy and get one. OnePlus is having a midlife crisis. They're like having serious existential issues over there with their identity. This right here, I think you're going to see a lot more of these picked up this next year. I think especially after the new phones come out and they realize they're several $100s more, things are going to change, I think. I hope they change anyway, because if they don't, you're going to see a lot more problems with these guys on the business side, because it's not like before where their phones were being basically obsolete a year later. Just because of the way Apple and Google have been doing things, they have to support their phones for so long now. So when you go get a phone, you get a Samsung phone, you get a Google phone, you're basically supported for 4 or 5 years. Not 1 year, not 2 years. And the performance from the hardware is going to be good for a very, very long time. The biggest issue is just battery life. And, well, with Pixel and the way that they did the battery charging thing, good, bad, or indifferent, the battery health should last longer because of the lower wattage charging. Anyway, I know this was a lot of rambling, a lot of going on about stuff, but I think it's important to highlight and important to note, because this right here may be the final catalyst for change to get us away from these $1,000 phones that we didn't really need anyway, because the ones that were like a year old or we could get that were a Snapdragon 7 series phone were really, really good. And I've tested a lot of them, and I've recommended a lot of them. So that's all I got in this video. What do you think? Do you think that the $1,000 phone days are numbered? Do you think that these phone companies are going to have to react to this and have to make some changes to try and still compete for your business? Because they clearly don't need to sell phones year over year anymore, because the phones are just so good you don't need a new one, right? Anyway, so that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.